And so we entered Georgia, ancient Colchis, the land of the Golden Fleece.
Georgia has a wonderfully rich history. For centuries it's been a bridge between East and West. And that bridge was first created by the ancient Greeks, who began to found colonies here after 600 BC, as they saw it, following in the footsteps of the Argonauts.
And the Greeks are still here.
This is Michael's mom, and the children are preparing pictures for us.
My God, you're not going to believe this. Look at this.
Они побежали за фотографиями.
Look at this. Do they know any of the people here? Or are these...
Of course I know all of them.
No.
Мой отец.
It is my father.
Это там социальный Сидорова его сегодня.
The faces of the people.
Все греки.
Ну, они...
The lyre player could almost be Orpheus. There's Atalante, the runner. And there's young Jason himself, big-boned, open-faced. After sweeping along the coast of Colchis, the Argo entered the mouth of the river Phasis. In early Greek myth, this was the edge of the world.
See the surf line there, which is the waves meeting the river as it pours out. We're going to try and get through that.
Today, the Phasis is called the Rioni.
Struck land already. He's just walking across the estuary now just to see whether there's anywhere where the water's deep enough for us to get in. Ancient heroes may have sailed into the Phasis, but of course people don't do that today. Port's the other side. No problem. Fantastic. Can you remember the way out? Yeah.
Now, strange as it may seem, the Argonauts had got all the way to Colchis without stopping to think how they would get hold of the fleece. So they held a council of war. Some of the heroes favoured using force, but Jason suggested a more subtle tack. "My friends," he said, "you stay here on board while I go and parley with their king. I'll sound him out, see if he's arrogant and confident in his power, or if he's friendly. Maybe we can strike a bargain. In exchange for the fleece, the heroes of Greece could offer to vanquish his enemies."
To the ancient Greeks, Colchis was a sinister, alien land, ruled by a cruel king, Aeetes, whose power depended on keeping the Golden Fleece. They called his city Aea, and they placed it somewhere in the waterways and lakes behind the coast. But was it a real city? Needless to say, archaeologists have combed this part of Georgia looking for the city of the sun god. In the 1870s came rumours of fabulous finds near the town of Varni.
After every torrential rain, out of the hillside were washed gold ornaments, jewels, rings and necklaces. The whole hill, said one of the newspapers, is full of gold.
The gold of Colchis even drew the legendary excavator of Troy, Heinrich Schliemann, the man who found the jewels of Helen and the mask of Agamemnon. Perhaps Schliemann hoped to find the golden fleece itself. Modern archaeologists have found much more gold at Varni and a walled native Colchian city.
So what have you got here? Do you know yet? Do you know what...
Its heyday was from 600 BC, long after the Bronze Age, but just the time when the Greeks were planting their first colonies here, when the myth had become fixed in Georgia.
Do you think there could possibly have been an expedition here to this place in the Bronze Age, to Colchis?
Maybe in the myth, some memory preserved about the first explorers of the Black Sea area. And maybe this is connected with the period of Greek colonization.
In 8th century, when literally was fixed this myth of Argonauts or the Golden Fleece country, it was the Colchis where it stopped. The traveling of this myth stopped in Colchis, and after this I think Colchis is this country rich in gold. The El Dorado of the ancient Greeks.
Fantastic.
And it's actually rich in gold.
And it is
It actually was rich in gold.
rich in gold, yeah.
Who were Argonauts? They are a good, well-organized band of robbers.
A band of robbers? A simple act of piracy? Could that be the truth behind Jason's quest?
Had a nice town, isn't it?
A Roman writer says that in his day the descendants of King Aeetes still ruled here and mined gold in Sphani, today's Sphanetti.
Richard, right. I'm Michael. Very nice to meet you.
Sphanetti is a wild valley up in the Caucasus. Only days before we arrived, it was still closed to outsiders, and we could only go there with the protection of local families.
So we've been given a few rules. Don't look at the men for too long in the eye. We take them as a threat. Don't look at the women at all, and never show fear.
Heracles no doubt said the same thing to Jason.
This is a place where, in my opinion, Argonauts turned to that side, because that time the roads were going in a different way, not like today. And this was the main caravan road.
This was?
Which would go to Mestia and everywhere.
Across the Caucasus?
Across the Caucasus.
Wow.
Up here, the Greek writer Strabo offers another explanation of the legend. He says they panned for gold using fleeces.
You create a kind of wooden box